guys. We're so excited for our first episode of Open Book Discussions with a Backyard Bookkeeper. And today we have Julie DeLong. She's the COO of Backyard Bookkeeper. Hey, Julie.
Hi.
And we're so excited, and this is going to be a weekly podcast, Facebook Live that we have going on. So this is our first one. So everyone welcome. And for those watching the replay, also welcome. We're so excited to have you. And if you're catching this live here or even during the replay, feel free to leave your questions and comments down below. If we don't get to them this time, we'll go in and comment on them throughout the weekend. So we're going to get right into it. So this topic today is going to be timely and perfect, and it's about bookkeeping for year end and how small businesses can prepare for the end of the year coming in just 6 weeks. So
don't remind me.
Yes, I know. It's like, where does time go? Okay, cool. Well, Julie, we'll get right into it. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. It's nice to be here, and this is such a great topic, and it's something that people always need to be reminded of, like, what does it take at the end of the year? And there's a lot of extra things that you can do that will benefit your business at the end of the year, and also lots of common mistakes that people make. So we can talk about some of those. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So our first question is, what is a short reconciliation checklist that you would recommend for businesses at year end?
So, I mean, it's basically, doing all of your bookkeeping, right? And just to summarize what that means, it means make sure that all of your transactions are entered into your bank accounts and your credit card accounts and everything, and reconcile them. If you haven't been actually comparing your bank statements to what's in your bookkeeping every month, and making sure that the end balances match between your bookkeeping program and your bank statement, then now is the time to do it. Like, get caught up, and then, before you file your taxes, make sure that you've done it through December, or ideally even January, because sometimes things pop up in January that should have happened in December. So make sure that you've done that for all of your bank and credit accounts. And when we talk about bank and credit accounts, we mean your bank, your checking, your savings, your overdraft account, all of your business credit cards, any business loans you've got, SBA loans, equipment, like all of the things. Make sure you've looked at all of those account balances in QuickBooks or whatever other program you're using, and make sure that they're correct. Okay.
Okay.
And then you want to spend a little bit of time thinking about your assets and your liabilities. Do you have any business assets? If you are reselling product, and you've got some inventory on hand, you want to do a year-end inventory valuation. Count what you have in your warehouse, or in your wherever you're storing it, and at least do kind of an estimate of its value. And when we talk about the value of inventory, it's not what you want your customers pay for it. The number you use is the amount that you paid for it. So just figure out what that is. If you don't know how to put it into your system, that's fine. Just make sure that you have that number and that you give it to your accountant when you go to do taxes. Other assets that you might look at, if you're doing anything with real estate, of course, you need to assemble the documents for any real estate deals that you did in the last year. Liabilities, besides just your accounts payable and your credit cards, do you have other liabilities? Are those represented in your bookkeeping somewhere? Just gather all that information. If you have enough accounting training to know what to do with it in the bookkeeping, do it. Otherwise, just make sure that you have it and take it with you to the accountant. So that's basically it. The only other thing that I would add is that people often neglect their balance sheet. They're concerned about the profitability of their business, so they only ever look at the P&L income statement, right? Which is fine. However, if you are having any kind of problem with your data, so for example, maybe you're using bank feeds and you're downloading transactions, and there was some kind of bug in the bank feed, and trust me, this happens often enough that it's a real thing. Maybe the bank feed skips days, maybe it just quits working for 2 weeks and you didn't notice. And you may not notice if you're just looking at the P&L, but then you go over to the balance sheet and you are looking at your credit cards, and one of them, that the balance was $5,000, but on the balance sheet it says that the balance was $2,000. Well, guess what? That means that you're probably missing $3,000 worth of expenses, and you would only know that by looking at the balance sheet. So when you look at a balance sheet, all of the line items need to make sense to you. If you've got assets on there, does it make sense? If you gave a pay advance to an employee that they're paying back to you, and that is represented there, well, is the balance right? Is that really how much the employee still owes you? So you just kind of go down the balance sheet, and every number needs to make sense, So people neglect the balance sheet because they don't understand it or they don't think it's important, but that is where the errors show up. So check your balance sheet.
Great. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. It's a great end of the year checklist.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, to our second question is, what's the most important thing to take care of for your 1099?
Okay, 1099s, everybody's most hated topic. So first of all, who do you have to 1099? Okay, so basically you need to give a 1099 as a business owner. So if you're just, this does not apply for personal finances. Okay, that's a separate thing that you should talk to your CPA about. But if you have a business, then your business needs to issue a 1099 to any individual or LLC who that you paid more than $600 during the course of the year for services, rent, or any kind of commission. Okay. And payment method matters. Okay. So if you paid, say the contractor who did some work in your office, if you paid them $1,000 via check, cash, Venmo, any other kind of bank transfer style payment, then you need to give them a 1099. If they take credit card and you paid them via credit card or debit card, you don't actually have to give them a 1099. This is a little known secret, because they're going to get a 1099 from their merchant processor. You don't have to give them a 1099. So that's an important thing to know. So again, to repeat that, anybody that you paid $600 or more during the course of the year for services, rent, or commissions, those are the big ones. Okay. I've got 2 more pieces of advice regarding this. Anytime you anticipate that you're going to be paying somebody in one of these categories, before you give them any money, and if you haven't done this, then do it now before the end of the year, before things get crazy, you ask them to fill out a W-9 form. And you can find this, you can just Google it, W-9, okay? And then make sure that the link that you use to find the correct form is an irs.gov link, okay? Download it, hand it to them. They have to fill it out. It's the equivalent of a W-4 for an employee. It gathers the information that you need to be able to file the 1099. If there's somebody who does not need a 1099, it becomes your proof that they don't need one, because then they have to specify, this is the business name, here's our tax ID, but we are structured in such a way that you don't have to give us a 1099. And then you have that as proof. You asked for it, you got that information, and you don't have to do it. Right?
Right.
But if they're just a contractor or LLC and you need to give them a 1099, then you're going to have their legal name, whether it's their individual or their business name, their filing address, and then their tax ID. And that's all you need for the 1099. My last bit of advice for 1099s is, don't buy paper forms and use a typewriter to fill them out or whatever it is people do these days. Don't do it. Again, get on the internet and Google file 1099 forms online.
Okay.
So the service that I often send people to, it's 1099online.com. You don't have to use that one. There's a gazillion, right? But you fill out all the information,
Right.
and then you pay, I think it's $3.95 per form, and it gets filed online with the federal government. And if you provide the email address of your vendor, then it will send it to them via email.
Oh, that's nice.
And you can even pay an extra, I don't know, $1.50 or something, and they will mail a copy. And all you had to do is put some information online, and that was it. You didn't have to stress about it. So that's pretty typical pricing of what you'll find on at various web services. Yeah, don't buy printed forms at Office Depot and try to do it that way. Just don't. Just don't.
We'll trust your advice on that one, Julie. So
Yeah.
does Backyard Bookkeeper help with this type of stuff for W-9s and filing them?
So W-9s, that's on you to collect from your vendors. But in terms of doing your bookkeeping so that you have updated figures of how much was paid to each contractor, absolutely, that's part of what we do. And then we do, for the clients that opt in, we will file the 1099s for them. We charge a nominal filing fee, and you don't have to worry about it. So you do, however, have to gather the information. So you've got to ask for the W-9 from your contractors. That's important.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay. So question 3, how can you figure out your estimated tax liability, and how can a business owner prepare for that so they're not stuck with thousands of dollars a day before it's due?
Yeah, so estimated tax liability. So, the IRS wants you to pay into the system throughout the year. That's where this is coming from, right? And so CPAs will talk about estimated tax payments that you make quarterly. Sometimes there's stuff going on with your payroll. It just kind of depends on your scenario. The important thing to remember is that income taxes depend on so many factors other than your business income, right? It depends on, your number of dependents. It depends on the size of your mortgage and how much you're paying in mortgage interest and a whole bunch of other things, right? So it's not just about your business income and what percentage you're going to have to pay. And as your business grows, there are different tax planning strategies you can take advantage of to reduce your personal income tax liability. So what you need to do, and now is an excellent time to do it. End of November, beginning of December is kind of when you want to do this. Update your bookkeeping as much as you can up to today. Okay. Do all of your bank accounts, reconcile everything, make sure all your expenses are accounted for up to today. And then whatever program you're using to do your bookkeeping, export a profit and loss statement into Excel. And then add a column next to it. And in that extra column, you're going to put in the additional amount of income that you expect through the rest of the year. And then for each expense category, how much additional you think you're going to have to pay for the rest of 2019. Okay. Then you add those together, and that should give you your projected net profit for this current year. And then you call your CPA and you make an appointment. And you take that document. Okay. And you sit down with them and you talk about what the next year's tax situation is going to be like, and the recent tax law changes made a significant difference for a lot of people. I know my taxes in this last year looked significantly different from the year before. So it's always a good idea to do this, but have the tax planning session. And there are things that you can do relating to S corporations. If you are already an S corp, then maybe what you need to do is look at how much you've been paying yourself and how much you've been paying in terms of income tax withholding. And those are things that, again, your CPA is going to need to assess in the context of your overall personal income tax situation and what you need to do.
Right.
And there's other things like with retirement plans and stuff like that you can strategize and use to your advantage. But again, in order to make a good estimate, you need to have a pretty accurate idea of what your income will be for the year. And so that's why you kind of do this projection process to kind of guesstimate what that's going to look like.
Okay.
So
okay,
yeah,
great, thank you. And does Backyard Bookkeeper do specifically year-end help for?
Yeah. So this is exactly what we do. So in terms of this process, what we do for our bookkeeping clients is we update everything monthly. So beginning of December, you get updated financial statements from us. And then you could go through and like do what I just described with the Excel spreadsheet, and you take it to your CPA. And so you have a lot less to do on the front end. You're not doing the data entry and everything yourself, but we give you that profit and loss, and then you use that for your projections. So yeah,
cool. That makes it easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one. How do employee end-of-year bonuses work, and how can a business account for them?
Okay, a lot of people like to give cash bonuses. Technically, this is not kosher. Anything that is compensation of any kind, whether it's commission or a Christmas bonus or whatever, it's taxable income, and so it needs to go through payroll. And so a lot of people like just write a check or give cash to their employees. You're not supposed to do this. You need to call up your payroll processor and you need to say, I want to give my employees a bonus. A lot of people just tack a bonus onto an existing paycheck that's, on or around Christmas. That's an easy way to do it. Another thing that most payroll companies will do, they have a gross up feature. That's what it's generally called. Kind of a weird term, but like if you say, I want to give my employees I want to give my employee $100 bonus, and I'd like them to actually receive $100 in hand. And so you give that number to the payroll company and they gross it up. So they calculate what does the gross pay need to be in order to make the net amount $100 even. So they can do that kind of thing for you. All payroll companies, even if you're using your own service, like you're using like Intuit Online Payroll or Gusto or something, they all have this option. And if you can't find it, contact customer support and look for it, because they can all do it. But you do need to record it. And if you do that, then you have the option of actually giving your employees cash, right? You can hand them $100 and then you go into the system and you create a manual paycheck. So you can do that if you like doing it that way, right? But it does need to show up for them as taxable income, and it needs to be included on their W-2, which means it has to go through payroll. So
and again, does Backyard Bookkeeper help with the payroll side as well?
So we actually have a sister company, Backyard Payroll, and we've got a couple of payroll specialists who are very good at this kind of thing, and that's exactly what they do. It's very affordable. It's very similar to what you might find online, except it's facilitated by a staff of experts, and so you don't actually have to know how to set up everything yourself. So it's a good middle ground, affordable option for small businesses.
That's great. We're coming to a close here. Julie, just one more question. Thank you. This information has been fabulous. We'll also get a video and post it on the Backyard Bookkeeper's blog as well, so it can be there for more content for our viewers that couldn't catch it today. So our last question is just briefly talk about some of the year-end procedures that businesses need to go through.
So it's basically just that updating process that I talked about at the beginning. You just need to make sure everything's complete, and you are the one who knows your business the most and the best, right? So go through, make sure all of your bank accounts are updated. Make sure that you have accounted for all of your assets, all of your liabilities. Go through all of your, attack that pile of mail you've been postponing looking at, and make sure you go through it all and that you know about everything that's going on, and that you've addressed all outstanding financial items. Just make sure it's complete. That's the main thing. Don't forget to look at your balance sheet. Review your profit and loss. One trick I like to do when I'm looking at financial statements is I run a profit and loss, and then I have the software do it in columns so that I can see month to month throughout the year, how did the numbers change, That's when you notice things like, oh, I missed a rent payment, or or if something got booked in the wrong category that shouldn't have been. That's where you can pick up those kinds of errors and fix them. You're the one who knows your business the best, and so it's really important that you look at those on a regular basis, because then you know what's actually happening. And if the books somehow are not representing what's happening, then you'll notice that too. So that's basically it, And before you ask, yes, that's exactly what Backyard Bookkeeper does. Is we generate those financial statements and we deliver them to our clients on a monthly basis so that they know what's going on in their business, so that they can see the growth and the progress, and they can make strategic business decisions.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Julie, for taking your beautiful afternoon in the backyard there.
Here at the park. It's not my backyard. I wish I had that much space.
A backyard, appropriate for the first episode of Open Book, Discussions with a Backyard Bookkeeper. And if anyone wants to find out more information, you can visit the website, www.backyardbookkeeper.com. If you click on the About Us section and go down, there's a Contact Us section. And we'd love to be of assistance in any way we can. Thank you so much again, Julie. And also, viewers, join us next week where Julie will be back and talk about how to keep your business in the black. And that's in preparation for Black Friday. So we'll be talking about
that. That's a great topic.
Yes. Okay, looking forward to it next week. Thanks, Julie.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.